What's up, Dragon Nation? I'm Rich with Dragon Nation Gaming. Welcome back to Space Engineers. So I was checking over the comments in some of my videos, and I actually got a comment from Zangiri. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If not, go ahead and correct me. This is his comment. So what he said was there was another creator who put on the Steam Workshop a drill. I forget what this thing is called. But he put it on the Steam Workshop and it does what I'm trying to do in my survival world. Not only does it bore a hole, but it also lays the tunnel armor. I've been having a lot of trouble with that, but this guy seems to have done it, and we're going to check this system out real quick. Stay tuned. So this right here is the tunnel boring machine by, how do you pronounce it? Octomoose, I think his name is. Now he does say in the description of this machine that it doesn't really work, and he hasn't tested it in survival yet. But we're going to go ahead and do that. I don't know if I'll get this into survival because there would be too much I'd have to set up, but it's a pretty good system. I looked over it just real quick and I decided to go ahead and do a video on it because it's a pretty good looking build. It does have a few issues though, and those issues are, well, they break the whole system. Let's go ahead and go through this real quick. So I'm wondering why there's a grinder in the back. It doesn't seem to really reach anything. It's not, is it set up on, no, it's not set up on pistons. Huh, maybe it's just for looks. No idea. Maybe when we actually run the thing we can see it. You must create means of disposing excess ore, ingots, stone. Otherwise the TMP will get too heavy and collapse under its own weight. The TMP excavates 2 large containers worth of much per its own length. What? Various scripts for inventory management exist, and I recommend using one of those for the task. So even though this is what I call a creative build. So this may work in creative, but it will not work in the survival. He actually says it himself that there are many issues with the build. He even says in the description in Steam Workshop that it is not working. But I've seen other people do videos on this, and they were able to get it. Well, actually, no. I haven't seen anybody get this to work. The main problem that we have is this right here. So in my build, what I do is I use pistons to extend the merge block to connect it to the top. He uses rotors, which is inventive, but anybody who's tried to do a system like this knows it's not very reliable. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. All he does is he has a rotor set up, so it's a little bit higher than when you first build it in, and these merge blocks should just slide right across here to the next one. All he does is he turns them on and off. We'll see that when the system gets started. But he still has pistons, but he only moves this thing the length of 1 piston. Mine actually moves the length of 3. And the whole system is huge. He has everything on this thing, which makes it extremely heavy. And he only has 1 source of this thing connecting to the system. So once these merge blocks right here are disconnected, this whole thing would fall. There is nothing supporting it on the bottom. Now, the welders, on the other hand, this is what actually welds up the tunnel, and it won't work. He does not have enough welders. So, in creative, this would work. These welders would actually, well, maybe, yeah, they would. In creative, this would work because there's this gap right here that the welders would not hit in survival, but in creative the hit distance for the welders is a little bit larger, so this might actually work in creative, but in a survival world, this would not work. Also, right here, there's a gap right here, too. I just want to look over this thing and see how he was working this out. Now, this I like, but I've actually tried this before. So what he has is he has a rotor that is connected to the drills. And the reason he did that is it will turn this entire drill head, making a perfectly circle tunnel. But the problem with that is anybody who's played Space Engineers before or been playing it for a while knows that this will fuck the whole system up. That rotor right there will destroy the system. I mean, it's definitely a creative build. A lot of people try to build things that just look pretty, but when you actually try to use them, they don't work for shit. This is one of those systems. But enough of me going off about it. Let's actually see if this thing runs. So he does have refineries, but he only has one refinery. Well, I guess the only thing that this thing is actually welding up is... Yeah, it looks like it's only armor blocks, so... Oh, no, there's the merge blocks as it moves down, it would have to weld up too. I would put a couple more refineries on here. Is there more on the other side? No. Is there some on the system? No, he has an assembler. But that's it. One assembler to... Yeah, this... I don't think this would work. But anyways, let's go ahead and test it out and see if it will. I'm talking all kinds of shit about it, but let's see if it works. Now, I think the way you're supposed to do this is you hit 1, and then you let it go through 1 cycle, so the pistons will, yeah, move off, and then you wait until the pistons are done going back to the original position. And he says that whole process takes about 1.5 minutes. So yeah, there's the rotor with the drill head, which is cool. That, I mean, that is creative. But I'm just trying to look to see how the whole system functions. Alright, so I think... Nope, here we go. Oh, he waits for the entire thing to move before it starts welding up. Yeah, see, as you can see, it didn't weld these up. So yeah, there are gaps in the welding, which will cause a problem. Then I think what he said was after it's done doing that, nope, we're still waiting on these. See, this is how it actually attaches to the tunnel. The merge block just slides across, and then once it lines up with that merge block, it'll turn back on. Anybody who's tried to do this before knows it's not very reliable. Sometimes the merge blocks will connect, sometimes they don't. Okay, so that one's good. Looks like they're all good. Then he says after it goes through the first round, go ahead and hit 3 and then 4. And I think that's it. I think that's all we have to do. And then the whole system should... Oh, hey. Oh, I see now. That's what the grinder actually grinds down. So this is... Oh, that welder didn't weld that up. That's how he gets components throughout the entire system, but it didn't weld up. Huh, that might cause a problem. Is it still going though? It looks like, yeah, it's still going. Alright, so while we're watching this thing do its thing, So yeah, it's building a round tunnel. I mean, it's a cool system. Don't get me wrong. It's very creative and it's inspiring. It will give you ideas on what to do on your own builds. I'd feel better about it if the entire system works properly in survival. He even admits himself in the Steam Workshop that this thing does not work, which I don't agree with. That kind of upsets me a little bit. One thing I do is I make sure a system is working perfectly before I put it on the Steam Workshop. Putting a non-functioning creation on the Steam Workshop just seems kind of half-assed to me. Alright, so it's working pretty well so far. Oh, I see what it does now. Yep, that's how it connects. So those connectors are going to connect so he can put components throughout the system. But where does it go? I don't really see any storage anywhere. I think he just has the components feeding to the welders, but I also don't see any sorters anywhere. Now here's the timers, and if we count the timers, so he has 4 here. There's 4 over there. I thought I saw another timer back here. Oh yeah, there they are. Another 3, so that's 11. And is there some on this side too? No, those are batteries. So 11 timers. My system only has 7. Oh, and it's clanging too. Alright, so here's the projector. The reason he has the projector like this is he has to have it connected to this merge block so that way the projection will actually be connected to this system and weld up, or the tunnel frame. And he can't put it up here because as soon as this thing merges, this will be connected to the tunnel frame. The projector will be. So it's still going, but it's kind of a 50-50 thing. It's like sometimes those merge blocks will connect, sometimes they won't. Now, of course, I'm recording, so this thing is going to make me a liar, but it's a pretty cool system. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and let that do its thing, see how long it lasts before it malfunctions. Also, keep in mind, we're not digging into a mountain, so I'm not putting any extra weight on the system. Once you start putting weight on it, it'll start malfunctioning. Guaranteed. But a lot of people are going to give me shit saying, well, this video isn't about survival, and technically they would be wrong. This is a perfect way to describe survival. See, like I'm doing it in my world right now. This is a part of it. I'm building something in my world that will build or dig a tunnel. Then it will build a armor blocks to make a good-looking tunnel. I don't know how better to put that. I mean, I just woke up not too long ago, so my brain isn't working all that well, but this is the system that I'm trying to do. I'm trying to dig a tunnel with armor ramps or a frame so that way it looks good. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that in my survival world. And so I go to the Steam Workshop or I go to videos on YouTube to try to figure some things out. And that's what a lot of people do, especially when they're first starting out, is they'll get to a point where they can't figure out how to do something, and so they'll go looking around to see if somebody else has done that thing to give them ideas for the future. Yeah, the grinder just ground down that connector. So now I see what the grinder's for. So this is what you do in survival. A lot of people forget that they don't know everything about the game. At some point, they did have to go looking on the Steam Workshop, or they had to go look at YouTube to get some information. It's still working though. Of course, now that I'm recording, it works perfectly. It makes a liar out of me. But yeah, anyways, I don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. It works pretty well. It's a pretty good system. It's pretty. It is very, very pretty. But it's not very practical. Once this thing gets a lot of weight into it, I guarantee some of these merge blocks would not actually connect. It's still going though. It is definitely going to make a liar out of me. So yeah, like I said, it's a good system. It looks really, really good. I like it. There's just a few things that I would change. And I probably could do something like this for myself, but build it the way mine is built, which I could probably do. I think I could get that to work. Not sure. Now, one thing I do like is how he has it hanging down from the ceiling. I think if I redid mine, I would do the same thing. Mine, I have pistons in the merge block coming from the ground up, which causes some problems when you're messing with the pistons, because at some point those pistons aren't going to be able to move because the whole system gets too heavy. Yep, it's definitely going to make a liar out of me. Let's check out the tunnel and see what that looks like. So it's a small tunnel. There's not a whole lot of room, but it is big enough for a small ship or a small rover, which is perfect for most people. Let's go ahead and get all the way down and check out the tunnel, see if we have a flat bottom. Yeah. So yeah, this would be big enough for one vehicle, but the one I'm building in my survival world actually has two. I need two to be able to fit through here. So I would have to make it a little bit bigger, but this is, I like it. It's a good system. It works in creative, but we would have to see if it actually works in survival. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is, in my survival world, is I'm going to try to do something kind of like this. This means that I might have to start the whole thing over again. I hate doing that shit. But I want to see if I could change it up. I think one thing that I'm definitely going to change is I'm going to have my system hang from the ceiling instead of coming up from the ground. Is there anything? Yeah, then add a system that actually builds the tunnel. I tried that before and I couldn't get it to work because of the welders. So I might add a mod for the welders. Just a mod that allows the welders to have a little bit more distance. Because not only that, one thing this thing does not have is it does not have conveyors running through it. Mine does, because I want to be able to bring ammo up to weapons that I have at the front of the tunnel. But anyways, I've been going on this system long enough. I suggest you go ahead and download it and check it out yourself, especially if you want to try to build something like this. It's a pretty good representation of the right way to do it, or that you can actually do something like this. Even though I'm sure this would not work in survival, but I could be wrong. It might work just fine. It's still a very good inspiration. But anyways, I need to stop wasting your guys' time. So next episode, what we're going to be doing is I'm hoping to build something like this on my own real quick and see if we can't get it to work a little bit better than ours does. Not only digging through the mountain, but also building a tunnel for us, a framework for the tunnel with conveyors and armor blocks. So I'll probably spend the whole day working on that, trying to get it to work. So tomorrow I hope to have an episode ready so we can go ahead and get back to surviving. Well, it's Space Engineers. There's no real survival in Space Engineers, but you know what I mean. We can go ahead and get back to it. Get the tunnel completely done so we can start working on production facilities. At some point, I do need to build a rocket to go up into space. We need to start on a space tether. we still have a long way to go, but we'll worry about that in the next episode. Until then, make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.